Hello, everybody. I'm going to speak in English. I hope I won't be too ridiculous, given the number of French people that must be in the audience, but it's the exercise. So let's begin with a very short overview of all the challenges that are posed today for the food service industry, because there are numerous ones. For those who don't know me, I'm the head of Bento, which is an agency specialized in trends and marketing for the food service industry. We've been looking at the industry for 20 years, so at least it gives you a bit of perspective. As he said, there are numerous challenges now transforming and impacting the food service industry. I won't go through them all because as soon as you open the paper today, you hear about the shortage of personnel, the staff under professionalization, the rising costs of energy, food and everything. So now we're going to have a look at what's happening and what could be helping the food serving reacting to all these problems. First of all, we're going to speak about ghost kitchen. Even if the pandemic is finished, delivery is still here to stay. I don't know if you saw, but today DeliverAct has just released a study showing that people were ordering delivery even more than before the inflation rise. So it shows that it's really a definitive channel and it's going to stay that way. That's why ghost kitchen will keep on existing as well, but they could be changing. It could be changing because now we see ghost kitchen evolving, and a very good example of that is Inspire. Inspire is a big American group who has go on buying lots of brands in the food service industry. They have Dunkin' Donut, but also Baskin-Robbins, Sonic Burger, and they have opened in Atlanta a new ghost kitchen, which is a cross ghost kitchen for all the brands of the group. So it's very, very interesting because it has been designed and the staff is cross-trained to be able of producing all the specialties of all these brands. So it's an important, very important saving on staff, on energy, on material equipment. They estimate that compared to 5 different restaurants which would have been needed before to produce the food, it saves on average 50% on all these costs. So it shows you how impactful and how useful it's going to be for big groups, like often, I must say, in the innovation in the food service. Another interesting lead is what's happening with Not So Dark. Not So Dark is a French ghost kitchen company which has just leveraged 80 million euros with a change of business model. Before, they were operating their own kitchen. Now they are really relying on existing restaurants, using the kitchen of the restaurants to produce specialties that are designed by them because they are the expert in marketing, of designing the best solution for delivery, either in product and also in delivery accuracy. So it's interesting because the ghost kitchen are moving. Now you see the groups putting together cross-competence kitchen, but also ghost kitchen operating from existing restaurant spaces and capitalizing on the space and on the savoir-faire of the staff as well. The second form of restaurant for tomorrow is going to be obviously in the metaverse. Metaverse is going to be important, even if it's a bit complicated today to imagine what it's going to be. But you see, you have all, I imagine, heard about Starbucks, who has just launched the Odyssey program, which is, as I say, the new metaverse reinvention of their positioning. It's still a very classic promotion scheme, as it's only about collecting stamps which are NFT, and that you can either collect through going to Starbucks or buying on a dedicated platform. And at the end, they offer you the possibility to convert them in real life experience, special events at the Starbucks roasteries, even trips to the Starbucks Hacienda in Southern America, but also virtual courses of how to produce an espresso martini, for example. So you see that it's still a bit of a trick, but I read a very interesting study of BCG, which is quite quite known and quite famous and quite for his analysis. And he says that with the metaverse, being able of recreating the whole universe of a restaurant in the new dimension, it's going to be the occasion of realizing huge saving on staff training and also on the consumer loyalty programs, because they will have the opportunity of living much wider and much more complete experience thanks to these tools. So you see, today the metaverse is still a bit far away, but it should be coming much more quickly than what we think we could. Still on the future, because it's the place of thinking future here, there is an awful lot of talk, but a lot of talk about all the automatization and robotization of the industry, and it's really there. I saw that in France there was, you may have seen the Pazzi pizzeria company, which has just failed. But in spite of that, there are huge innovations put together, and it shows how important it's going to be for tomorrow. An American consultancy company has evaluated that 80% of the position in a restaurant could be automatized tomorrow. So it seems a lot, and it's a lot, but it's really happening. I wanted to give you the example of Mesli. Mesli has just opened next to San Francisco, as usual, I would say. And it's a fully automated restaurant. You place your order on a display, and you get the order at the end in a locker, which is, from that is quite normal. But all the eating, the mixing, the plating is made by robotic machine inside of this container. So it's still quite automatized. But then the preparation of the ingredient is still done in a human kitchen very close to it. And the recipes are designed by a Michelin star chef. And it's quite impressive because the saving they generate using that technology allow them to sell full bowls, Mediterranean healthy food at less than $7, which is quite interesting. And we see today that a lot of chains and players are considering automatization and robotization as a mean to be able of producing less expensive meals, which is going to be a huge challenge for tomorrow. To give you less impressive example, but to show you how soon we are now from the automation of the industry, partial obviously, I wanted to show you a few examples. We've got WeNow. WeNow is a food waste analysis device that you put in the food waste, and it analyzes everything and all the waste that is produced by the employees, and it gives you opportunities to streamline your production or to reuse all the wastes that could be reused somehow. They claim that you can save 2 to 8% of food costs thanks to this system, so it should be totally amortized in 1 year. And they say also that it allows the reduction of 40 to 70% of the food waste in a restaurant. So it's very effective, and that's why it's developing very quickly. We've got also partial automatization in the kitchen. For example, White Castle, which is one of the most ancient burger chain in the US, like with the 150 restaurants, they've ordered fast food arms to produce the burgers. It's the flipper that you've been seeing in lots of restaurants already. And another chain, P.F. Chang, which is a chain of Chinese food or Asian food, to be more precise. They have just put together an automatic wok that recreates totally with great fiability all the production of the dishes. At the end of the consumer path, you've got Panera Bread, which is implementing artificial intelligence at the drive-through. So you place your order with a robot. You pay still with Panera staff at the end, but it allows people, the staff, to concentrate on the production, and it seems to be quite effective at the moment. They say that it raises the accuracy of the order. It lowers the quickness of preparation. So it seems to be a good saving in the process. On the other side of the perspective that are opening today for the food service, you see also a lot of changes in the consumer mood. And one thing which has been good is that innovation is welcome again. At one stage, when we talk about trends, it was also looking in the past, and also always like comfort food and everything. I think we saw the peak of comfort food during the pandemic, when everybody was so anxious and tired and everything, that everybody wanted to go for comfort. But now things are really changing, and innovation is welcome. You see that in the United States are quite different from Europe, and especially from France. 70% of consumers are expecting innovation. It's a lot more than in France, obviously, but it still shows how much people are interested in new recipe and new way of cooking and experiencing. The thing which is quite new is that with the youngest generation, the taste, which was normally the first criteria of choosing food, is being replaced by the look. And you see that, for example, for Gen Z, 51% of Gen Z people will try a food because it looks exciting rather than because it looks good. So it's really a change of pattern, which is quite impressive, because it's the first time we see in an age category such a move. Before, the taste, the pleasure was always the number one criteria. So it really shows how much the impact, the visual impact of food is really getting importance in that sector. For boomers, still the taste is still important. And I wanted to give you the example of one of the TikTok phenomenon, because there are so many today, and it's a very interesting inspiration source for industry. The pink sauce, which has been invented in June by a female chef in Miami, which is very pink and very fluorescent nearly, thanks to the use of dragon fruit. And it's been so viral that she began to sold it with what she was producing it in her kitchen, so it wasn't very regular and everything. And she's just got a deal from an industrial company to produce in mass volume. So it shows how quick the trends are exploding now, and how quick it translates in an industrial and mass market model. So really, to keep in mind is that innovation look is really getting very, very important in this industry. That's why we see also a very special experience. Now, when we talked before, when we talked about restaurants, one of the best objective of restaurateur was to do like home. Like home was really the aim, and now it's totally different. We want something which is totally different from home. We've spent so many days, hours at home during the pandemic. Now when we go out, we want experience. And I wanted to give you the example of Aura. Aura, it's situated in the heart of Paris, near Gare de l'Est. It was a former army building, and it's very interesting because it's a mix of ethic and festive food. It's ethic because it's veggie, it's wasteless, but it's also festive because there are a lot of shows. The chef is really a showman. He prepares the plates, and he serves everything directly on a sheet of paper on the table, and is drawing like eatable painting. So it shows you how far you can go in the experience, and it's really something which is very important at the moment, is that giving experience, special experience, it's really part of the equation, really giving people reason to go out. In another perspective, on the consumer mood, honesty is really more and more essential. People are obviously getting getting fed up with greenwashing and all the assumptions that are made by lots of players on the market, and really honesty is important. One example I find very inspiring is Claude the Clow. You see that it's a US player whose name is Bird Box. Obviously, he makes a burger with chicken, and it shows to show the clow, because for two things: to remind you that you are eating an animal. So really, it's giving the animal a place in a role in what we eat, and then showing also that they buy whole animal, and that they limit the waste and everything, and it's a very ethic program. You still use animal, but you use all the parts of it. On the other hand, you've got another chain. It's a UK chain, Honest Burger. In the name Honest, obviously, there was a very dedicated attention to the way they were sourcing and preparing and everything. And now they have launched a regenerative farming program with the idea of linking much more closely their business with the farmers. They have eliminated all middlemen. So it's very impactful for them, because they buy whole cows, and obviously when you are doing burgers, you don't eat the whole cow. So they are transforming themselves in meat wholesaler. They are selling the part they don't use to other restaurants. So it shows you how far it can go in the engagement. And it's really the regeneration attitude and program. It shows something new and very inspiring for the industry as well. Honesty is also on the menu, and now it's smart to be looking for your money. It's to be avaricious, not to be avaricious, but really it's smart to be wise and to spend your money wisely. And a good example was the Champagne Bar, which was opened by Aldi. All Aldi, I think, and it was opened near Bond Street in London last December. So it was a lot of irony, and it was a way of saluting the fact that the Aldi is the second best-seller champagne brand in the UK at the moment. It shows that for people, buying wisely, it's important, and with inflation, this kind of attitude, looking for the good deal, and to be proud of spending better, of spending less money on unuseful thing, is going to be a winning attitude for tomorrow. Humanity is on the menu, as I told you, with the honesty and transparency attitude. The social preneurs are really getting a lot of more strengths. And at Bento, we help people answering to a lot of tenders, for museums, railway station, airport. And we see an increasing demand for associative restaurants. It's really because people want to bring more humanity and more sense to the consumption they have. One example is the community stores that are operated by Starbucks. They have already 150 community stores implemented in the US, and they have announced that they want to raise it until 1,000. They choose a region in the US where where poverty is strong. They use the American Poverty Index, and they will develop these special stores with a special aim to develop economic program to use to help the neighborhood to thrive and to better the employment, and to put together economic innovation that will get more economic strength to the neighborhood. It's quite important because they are already developing this format, but they also want to use this format as a lab to inspire all the network in the US. So it shows you that the community aspect which has already been quite important at Starbucks, at least in the advertising they make, is really getting strength and attention. On the other hand, refugee food has been gaining a lot of attention in France, and they have just opened a restaurant in the 14th district of Paris. So this kind of food with a very strong humanity perspective will be gaining strength a lot in the next few years. To finish with the last slides, because I think time is running as usual. I also wanted to speak about health. With the pandemic, we saw comfort totally knocking out health. Health was less important. People we were caring much less about how they looked and everything, but now it's really coming back. And I saw, for example, that in the SIAL Inside book, 70% of people say they have changed their way of eating, and 67 because they wanted to eat more healthy. So you see that health is a very strong motivation. It's always quite complicated to speak about health in the food service, because especially in France, you still go to restaurants to have pleasure, but health is definitely rising. And I think a very good example is the success of bowls at the moment. Bowls, it looks like a bit of a joke, and it's really gaining a lot of strength. Data Essential noticed that there were more than 10,000 food service outlets who had bowls on their menu in the US. So it shows you how important bowls, it's like a world in itself. You've got vegetables who are good looking, it's sustainable, it's healthy, because obviously generally it depends on the composition, but it looks healthy. So it's really one of the good way and a good example to do that easy healthy menu that everybody is expecting today. And one of the jokes is that, I don't know if you know that pizza chain, which is Papa John, which is like a pizza chain which is not healthy at all. And they have just released pizza bowls with all the things you put in a pizza, but in a bowl. So it shows you how far we can go to exploit that trend. Still on health and comfort veggie is a big trend as well. It's all about having very good-looking, very interestingly dressed sandwiches, for example. And here you see, for example, you've got veggie pastrami, which is done with celeriac, I think. And you've got also 2 recipes with mushroom. Mushroom is the vegetable, I think, of last year, of this year, and I think it's going to last for a while because it's very versatile and there are a numerous way of cooking it. And it's also very meaty, so it's really a good way of replacing meat. And it's a good introduction with the last slide, as now the plant-based that you can see everywhere nearly in the exhibition. It's really moving. People are speaking now of the third wave. The first wave was the first substitute. We are not very convincing. The second wave was the wave of beyond food and beyond meat and impossible food. And now we've got the third wave. We are still trying to put together a patty with much more clean recipe, less less technical, less OGM and everything. And it's really showing a good way, because I think when people, and it looks like it's going to arrive soon, will succeed in putting together nice substitute but with clean labeling, it's going to be an obvious success.